Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Shila Tripati from CSR National Institute of Oceanography, Goa, and I will be talking on subject Indian culture, and the paper is Principles and Methods of Archaeology, and the module is Shipwreck Archaeology of India, Progress and Prospects. You know that as I told you in my previous lecture, maritime archaeology in India started in the year 1981 and underwater explorations started in the year 1984. But when Dr. Rao initiated this thing, during that time he had also collected some information from various available sources, from the fishermen, from the local divers, and from your archival sources about the shipwrecks, and he has found good piece of information on the shipwrecks of Goa coast. So after his explorations at Dwarka and Bet Dwarka sites, he had for shipwreck explorations he has concentrated at Goa to locate and explore the shipwrecks. But before that, let me give you a few introduction about the shipwrecks and what is a shipwreck is known as, and you know that shipwrecks in the sense the seafarers, it is believed that there were seafarers before the shepherds and the farmers, and the present archaeological data shows that last 40,000 years back people had crossed to the islands and reached to Australia and they had settled there. Similarly, it was not possible for Vasco da Gama or Columbus, Vasco da Gama is coming to India and Columbus to America, if there was no boats. So boat was the, and their destination was also decided. They had taken a decision to go to different parts. So ships were there during those days, and because of ships it was possible for them. And shipwreck study involves all kind of information related to the various types of boats and its construction pattern. If any ship is associated with a person or event, those are very famous. If not, there is every region to study every kind of watercraft. Those are the shipwrecks from earliest time onwards. And you know that shipwreck occupies a unique niche in archaeology, and in general terms shipwreck means the material study of ships. You know that the shipwreck archaeology is known as nautical archaeology, and the word nautical has been derived from the Greek word called nau, and nau means ships. And if we look into the shipwreck history of India, almost every Indian literature, it is not that every Indian literature, but some of the Indian literature, they provide information about ships, either it is of Jataka stories or Indian epics and historical period text. They provide information on shipwrecks, but their location, there is no information on the location of the shipwrecks. So that is the biggest handicap for the maritime archaeologists of India, to locate the shipwrecks. Okay. However, in addition to these literary sources, the inscriptional evidence, you know that Kadamba king Guhala Deva of 10th century, he had an inscription where he had mentioned when he started his sailing from Chandor going to Somanath, mast of the ship broken and shipwrecked at Gopakapattanam, and he was helped by a Arab mariner. This is one of the inscriptional evidence comes from the west coast. Coming to the east coast, Mattupalli, it is in Andhra Pradesh, and King Ganapati had issued inscription that is called Mattupalli temple inscription, and in that inscription he had provided protection to the seafarers. And subsequently, when Annapattu Reddy of Reddy dynasty ruled Goa, he has also provided another inscription in the same Mattupalli temple, next the same pillar. Okay, he is also providing protection to the seafarers. So, we have 2-3 inscriptional evidences in India, that is from Kadamba period 1, which comes from Goa, and there is 2 inscriptions from the Mattupalli. And in addition to that, we have archival data related with shipwrecks, and which comes from the Portuguese period onwards. As I had told you earlier, we do not have any record, particularly archival data dealing with shipwrecks or related with shipwrecks prior to the Portuguese period. So, that means no documented history of shipwrecks is available in Indian waters before the Portuguese period. Based on the available evidences, that is the information, we have prepared a map, shipwreck map of India, and the data is collected from local divers, amateur divers, archival data from the inscription and published sources. And so far we have collected 200 shipwrecks information along the Indian coast. 215 references on shipwrecks are available. You can see the map which has been presented here, and all along the Indian coast, starting from Gujarat to West Bengal, we have the shipwreck information. But the problem with these sources, we do not have the accurate location information. Unless until we know the location, it is a difficult aspect for us to go and to undertake the exploration. Unless until you know the location where we will search, because the sea is a very vast area, and environment and your depth is varies. But however, based on local divers information as well as archival data, we have located 4 shipwrecks in Goa waters, and the earliest one is early 17th century, that is the Portuguese wreck from the Sunchi Reef, and the another one is from Emisols, that is the steam engine shipwreck, and we have located a wooden hulled shipwreck in St. George's Reef, and another probably not a steam engine, diesel engine probably, because we have not found the engine part, that is in the Sail Rock, again which is very close to the St. George's Reef. So, that means in Goa we have located 4 shipwrecks starting from Portuguese period onwards, and that is one is steam engine, one is wooden hull, another is diesel engine, and the Sunchi Reef is the earliest one. Now, coming to the Sunchi Reef shipwreck, it is 2 kilometers away from Marmagua port, and it is a reef. Reef means there are outcrop of rocks at 1 or 2 places, and it is very difficult for navigation. Probably because of human error and unaware of that area, the captain might have made a mistake and the ship struck against the reef and it wrecked. But during our exploration, we found Martaban pottery, elephant tusks, hippopotamus teeth, dressed granite blocks, and cannon, handgun, copper vessels, Chinese pottery, tiles, that is bricks. We have found stone bricks and clay bricks, and other pottery also we have recovered from that Sunchi Reef wreck. The thing is, the important part of Sunchi Reef is that after finding of these antiquities, particularly the hippopotamus teeth and elephant tusks, we have analyzed it, and it shows that those were coming from Mozambique. And the historical period record shows that how much elephant tusks were brought from Mozambique to Goa as well as other ports of India. And that what was they were doing. The elephant tusks were coming to Goa, then they were sending from Goa, it was going to Bharuch in Gujarat area, and from there were good artisans were there, and they were making the finished artifacts. Those finished artifacts were again taken by the Portuguese rulers or the sailors or the traders along with them, and they were selling in their different colonies in the different parts of the world. For instance, if you will see the Christian Art Museum in Old Goa, you will find number of artifacts made of ivory. They have displayed there, and those are also belonging to same period. And another thing is this Martaban pottery. It started from 1250 to 1300 AD from Burma. Then along with maritime trade it has come. Similarly, in Thailand and Vietnam, they had copied it, the similar kind of pottery. So now this Martaban pottery or pottery of Thailand or Vietnam is known as the stoneware. The reason why it is called stoneware is these are fired more than 1250 degree temperature. Okay, and it has now, I mean, when you drop it or when you hit it, it gives like a metallic sound. It is not like a ordinary clay pottery and very hard. That's what it is called stoneware. And the barrel of the handgun what we have found, it is made of brass, and the main gun part is missing, and this was buried in the, I mean, in between the stone blocks, so we could see it and look, I mean, we had retrieved it. And the Martaban pottery TL dating shows that it is 362 plus minus 40, so that means it may be 320 or 400. So approximately we have taken 17th to early 17th century, and the elephant tusk also we have done the radiocarbon dating. It gives 740 plus minus 30. And the Martaban pottery, those stoneware shards what we have found, similar kind of stoneware shards has been reported from another Portuguese shipwreck which has been wrecked in Portugal itself on the bank of river Tagus, that Nossa Senhora dos Matais. And there is another shipwreck in Kenya waters, Mombasa, that is Santa Antonio de Otana. The pottery and the other antiquities what we found can be compared with these two shipwrecks. And in the presentation you can see the cannons. We have found 4 cannons. Among two are, I mean, laying parallel to the seabed, and 2 are laying up and side down. And you can see the elephant tusks. In the elephant tusks there are some stamp marks are there. Okay, and if you will look at closely, you can see one stamp mark is there, ICM. Okay, either probably this could be a trademark symbol or a company which was sending to India. In addition to that, we have found Chinese pottery and dressed stone blocks. And in one of the Martaban pottery, there is a stoneware. It is a Chinese pottery where you can see Chinese marks. Okay, and even we have found bricks and copper pipes and copper strips. It is not copper. We have found lead pipe and lead pieces. The lead pipe and lead pieces, you know why it was there in that shipwreck. The reason is when the foreign, I mean particularly the European ships were coming during 17th century or early 17th century, those were made of oak and pine. And once if the captain is unaware of the area of navigation, and if it strikes against a rock, so those lead pieces will bear the hit against the rock, and it will prevent the damage of the timber. And in the on board, these lead pipes were used for as a drainage. So the findings of Sunchirip clearly shows that all the findings belongs to Portuguese period, and it belongs to early 17th century, as well as the findings clearly indicates there was a strong maritime trade between Goa or India with the Portugal or Portuguese Empire. Coming to the another wreck, that is the St. George's Reef, which is close to your Vasco da Gama Island or Vasco da Gama. It is around that what is happening with this St. George's Reef during high tide, the reef submerges, and during low tide it exposes. That means what is happened, we feel that when the ship was coming during high tide, the captain might not be knowing the reef, and it hit the ship hit against the reef, so the ship wrecked. And what we found during exploration, various types of building materials, bricks, white material that is not exactly is a clay brick. These bricks were used for chimneys, and we have found tiles and your column capitals and column drums and hand wash basins and ridge tiles, roof tiles, all those things. And on the bricks and the floor tiles, that is flooring tiles, there is a stamp that shows that Bessel Mission Company 1865. That means the company established in India in 1865, and the company was dealing with these building materials. In addition to that, I mean how we could reach to the history of this company and how the date helped us to date the shipwreck. Here it makes a big support to date the shipwreck, this seal and history of the company, because when we recorded, when after the exploration we visited various archives as well as coastal Karnataka and Kerala, then we came to know that there was a company called Bessel Mission. They were involved in making and manufacturing these building materials. Then subsequent archival and published sources from where we can draw the evidences of the company that in 1800 the company record shows that in 1835 or 40 a group of missionaries had come from Bessel. Bessel is situated on the border of Switzerland and Germany. A group of missionaries had came to coastal Karnataka in the Mangalore region, and they started converting local people, local Indians, and then the original Indians didn't accept the converted people, so it became a problem for the Bessel Mission for their livelihood. In view of this, the company involved in manufacturing of these tiles. In addition to these tile factory, they also started dyeing industry, sewing industry and textile industry, all those things. So the Bessel Mission people involved these converted people in this industry, and subsequently the industry started different kind of tile manufacture industries in coastal Mangalore area as well as in Kerala. Okay. In addition to this shipwreck and findings, we found a timber of the ship which was buried in the below the reef area, and we could dated it. It shows radiocarbon dating is showing 115 years old, and it was a teak wood, that is bent teak. And the date of the shipwreck as well as the findings and the timber suggest that the wreck could be late 19th century, and based on these findings we can say that this could be the first Bessel Mission shipwreck located and explored in Goa waters. If we will locate the findings of Bessel Mission Company in the presentation, you can see those capital, column drums and your drainage pipes, ridge tiles, hand wash basins, bricks and tiles. If you will look minutely to those bricks, you will can see that the stamp, it is stamped as Bessel Mission 1865. We have located another shipwreck, that is Amy Shoals, which is in between your St. George's Reef and Sunchi Reef, and the shipwreck is laying in 9 meter water depth. Okay. and it is a steam engine shipwreck, and for the first time we have located a steam engine in Goa waters. In that steam engine shipwreck we have located 3 boilers and boiler furnace and flanges, bricks and engine part. And in those bricks there is a stamp Furna B84. So far we are working on it, but we have not able to get the details from which country and which country or where these bricks were manufactured. But based on the engine and the history, we feel that this could be a British shipwreck and datable to 1880 to 90s, and these boilers are the single ended Scotch boilers, and it was a steel hulled ship and a triple expansion steam engine driven vessel. The steam engine shipwreck is a ill-fated ship, could be a cargo vessel, and based on the shape and size of the boilers, the shipwreck could be dated to 1880 to mid 1900s. And you can see in the slide the boilers and the chimney and the flanges and your bricks and water tank and your hatch door and those flanges also. So these bigger flanges belongs to the your boilers, and these other 2 small flanges belongs to the engine part. We have another shipwreck in Goa water which have preliminary we have explored it. It lies in 40-meter water depth and off shale rock. That's what we call it, is a shale rock, and we do not know the region how it wrecked. But here also the same thing, the reef, the rock, the shale rock reef submerges during high tide. Probably that could be a region, or during rough weather the ship might have lost its direction and came to the shore and hit against a reef. This could be also a possibility of the wreck. And during our exploration we found the propeller, engine parts and the cabin as well as the anchor and the winches. In addition to these findings, we also found a cast iron cannonball which is weighing around 9.2 kilos. This we found in the below the cabin. It and as I told you, it hit against the submerged reef and it wrecked. However, during our survey we could not locate the front portion of the wreck. It is totally damaged, and in the visuals you can see the site, that is the shale rock reef, and the propeller shaft and tile, cannonball. In addition to all those things, even we found a buckle of the belt, okay, but there is nothing, it is a brass one, and probably it belongs to the some of the crew members of that ill-fated shipwreck. Okay, these are the 4 shipwrecks we have found in Goa waters. In addition to that, we have found 3 steam engine shipwrecks in Minicoy Island. You know what was happening before the opening of Suez Canal, all the ships were going through this Red Sea, taking a big round about Minicoy and Lakshadweep areas, okay, but there were no lighthouses. So probably because of lack of lighthouse and the reefs were very small, and those reefs are submerging, or even today also some of the reefs are submerged during high tide. That could be a major reason for the shipwrecks. And during our exploration we found we have found 3 shipwrecks, and we have explored 3 out of 3 we have explored 2, and in those 2 shipwrecks we have found the winch, we have found the portholes, we have found flanges, we have found flywheel, engine parts, propeller and boilers. So all those in one shipwreck we have collected some of the hinges and flanges and porthole that we have analyzed, because in those porthole and hinges there was some timber remains, and it's all these analysis suggest that the ships, particularly these hinges, the upper portion of the ship from where these hinges and portholes belong, where teak wood was used. Okay. And those teak wood we found in India and the west coast of India also. And in addition to our exploration of these Minicoy shipwrecks, Archaeological Survey of India and Indian Navy jointly they have carried out exploration of Bangaram coast, and there also they have found one shipwreck, and in that shipwreck they have located 4 cannons and 1 iron anchor, some copper vessels, nails, and some of these Bangaram findings has been published in their respective publications. In this visual you can see the findings of Minicoy shipwreck. Those are the porthole, J-bolt, as well as propeller, boilers, and anchor, iron anchor, and the clay that is Martha Banjar or the stonewares from Bangaram Island. Those lower two down one images, that anchor and clay jar, and all other remaining images from the Minicoy shipwreck. Now coming to the east coast, in east coast we have found one shipwreck that is off Pumpuar in Tamil Nadu. That is the 18th century shipwreck, wooden hulled and in 19 meter water depth, and that is 3.5 kilometers away from the shore. And we have found the timber of the ship, it is highly affected by the wood borers. Okay. And during our exploration we found a number of lead ingots and copper rod garden and cannon and timber, and huge number of lead ingots are there. We have collected around 18 lead ingots, and based on those lead ingots we have classified them into 4 groups, and maximum among those lead ingots belongs to W. Blackett. And in the pictures you can see the different type of lead ingots, and in those Blackett lead ingots you can, along with that Blackett inscribed thing, even you can see VECI, and there is a mark 1791 and 92. It means in the year 1791-92 these lead ingots were manufactured, and we, after collecting 18 ingots, we have analyzed them, and even we have done the isotopic analysis of these ingots, and we have done the trace metal analysis of these ingots, and from the isotopic analysis it shows that this Blackett company was one of the important lead manufacturing company in North Peninsula of England, and this company was involved in making lead ingots since 1694 onwards. And based on the trace metal analysis of these Blackett ingots, we have got the information or the evidence that these are 93% purity is there in this lead, and it was a cargo ship. Now the question comes whether the ship belongs to a local trader or a foreign vessel, but because based on the size of the ship and what we have found, it appears to us it could be a local cargo vessel, because if it is during 18th century the European ships were very bigger in size, but the size of ship what we have found, we have located here, it is very small in size. That is what we feel it could be a local cargo ship, and it was involved in lead ingots trading. And we can see the pictures, you see how the lead ingots are laying in the seabed. In addition to that, there are some chimneys are there, and one box like thing, I mean we have noticed some we say gunpowder box, but we have not lifted it, but we have lifted the ingots as well as the rudder garden, okay, and it is made of copper. And in addition to that, you can see the right hand side below, I mean the last slide, how the timber was placed in the construction of the boat. In addition to all those things, when we looked into the history of W. Blackett Company, we came to know that W. Blackett ingots have been found in Sumatra, Australia and India. As I told you, the company was involved in lead trade since 1694, and it gives that the company was exporting its lead ingots to Australia, Sumatra as well as to India, and this lead was used for various purposes, even for making bullets and for sheathing hull of the ships, because to prevent the hull from the wood boring activities. In addition to the Pumpuar shipwreck, recently we have located another shipwreck of Orissa coast, and the shipwreck is marked in the hydrography chart, and there are some evidences available in the archival sources. In addition to this Konark shipwreck, there are some other shipwrecks which we have found in Orissa, and the present wreck which we have explored, that there is a journal called Asiatic Journal Monthly Register, mentions that H.M. Late ship Caron wrecked 4 miles north of Konark in July 1820, and the cargo could not be saved. This kind of information we got it from the archival sources, and when we contacted local fishermen of that region, they suggested at a particular place that net is entangling and they are losing the net. And based on their information, myself and some of the local divers of Orissa and one of my friend called Sabir Bucks, he is a very good professional diver from Orissa. We explored the wreck, we found the wreck, but the problem is the wreck what we have found, it is the steam engine wreck, and we have noticed a lot of ship parts. In that in the adjoining area of this shipwreck, there is another wreck marked in the hydrography chart. Unless until we explore that wreck, we cannot be sure whether the present explored wreck is H.M. Late Caron or not. But in addition to this shipwreck, there are other wrecks off Ganjam coast, and that is named Prince Royal and Industry. Okay, these two have wrecked off Ganjam coast, and all these ships have wrecked because of cyclones and storms. Okay, but the Konark wreck is wrecked. See, it is the ship wrecked offshore, and because of cyclone, he came and hit against the shore and wrecked in 6 to 8 meter water depth. We have located boilers, cabin and ship frames at the site, and we have collected one bronze seawater injection bulb, okay, and some screw lift bulbs from the site. We are analyzing it, then only we will know more about these things. But where you can see there is one winch and boilers are seen. Because of poor visibility, this is the biggest handicap in India. There are wrecks, but we are not able to record them properly because of poor visibility. See here, you can see the findings, but the visibility is poor, that's we cannot get good pictures. But in case of Pumpuar, it is in 18-19 meter water depth, and the seabed is sandy, so visibility is very good. Here it is in the very near shore zone, 6 to 8 meter water depth, and when the wave comes during tidal change, the water becomes murky in Konark. That's what we are not able to get good visibility. And these are the shipwrecks what I told you now, that we have located shipwrecks in different parts of Goa, Minikoy, Pumpuar and Odisha coast. But if you will see the progress of shipwrecks in Indian waters, yes, there is a progress is there, and over the period of time we have studied shipwrecks, and we have explored a few shipwrecks, that is from early 17th century to early 19th century, and from those were belonging to from wooden to steel hulled and steam engine to diesel engine. Okay. And these are shipwrecks are authenticates the maritime trade contracts between countries, and it is not only the number of shipwrecks we have explored in Indian waters, but we have made a substantial progress in shipwreck studies, and these are, to me it looks outstanding. And see, in addition to this progress, it has the shipwreck studies has got its prospects in Indian waters, because if we look into the archival data, for instance, see, there is one shipwreck called Dartmouth. It was carrying treasure, and it has wrecked in 1791 off Masulipatnam. There is another Dutch ship, it was carrying treasure off Kovalam near Chennai coast, that is Madras. And even similarly in Lakshadweep, there are some shipwrecks which was carrying valuable cargo. Why I am talking about the treasure and valuable cargo? See, it has been mentioned in the records, and our intention is not for treasure, our intention is to get those findings, these shipwrecks, to locate, explore and excavate. We can reconstruct the history of the ships as well as the maritime history. More importantly, in addition to these shipwrecks in India, there is another shipwreck. You know that Alexander Cunningham has collected 2nd century, 3rd century BC, exactly that is 3rd century BC, stupa findings from Bharut, and he has loaded them in a British ship called P.O. liner Indus, which was able to carry 3,462 tons of Bharut materials, that is Buddhist sculptures, and he was sending it to London. Okay. Unfortunately, the ship wrecked in 1885, 50 nautical miles of Trincomalee, that is in Sri Lankan waters. Recently, the Sri Lankan maritime archaeologists have attempted to locate the shipwreck, and we are in touch with them, and if it is a successful matter for them, if they could locate the Sri Lankan maritime archaeologist, then the government of India and the organization India, those who are involved in maritime archaeological studies, we can have a joint exploration, and we can explore the shipwreck, that is the that Indus shipwreck in Sri Lankan waters, and we can totally retrieve the artifacts and we can display, because this is a real antiquities, we can collect it from them, and this will help the Bharut sculptures. If we locate in that shipwreck, it will help us to know what kind of materials and what kind of sculptures were there, I mean when the Bharut stupa was there. Now Sanchi stupa is there, we can get all the picture, but we do not have Bharut stupa findings everywhere. So, I mean we do not know what kind of sculptures were the ship was carrying. So, it is important for us to locate and excavate that Bharut shipwreck in the Trincomalee area. And moreover, the shipwreck study would reveal the unknown history, trade and cultural contexts, and shipping and naval warfare. And in addition to that, CSN or NIO has made a beginning. We have carried out the shipwreck explorations, and there is a strong posterity. Shipwrecks should be preserved for the posterity to understand the past, and they are the part and parcel of our underwater cultural heritage. On the other hand, if unless until we preserve them and if we will take care, we will be losing them because of the treasure hunters and biodegradation, and there is no exception, and no other country ever benefited from these treasure hunting. So, we should carve it, and rather than from the real maritime shipwreck archaeology. Moreover, UNESCO has taken a great concern over the growing threat on the underwater cultural heritage, and UNESCO is giving more emphasis for the preservation to save them, the shipwrecks as well as other underwater cultural heritage, and UNESCO is emphasizing to rectify the 2000 rectification UNESCO convention. UNESCO is emphasizing to every country to implement the UNESCO convention on the protection of underwater cultural heritage, and UNESCO is the say of the UNESCO is, if we won't save the underwater cultural heritage, what we will see tomorrow, okay, unless we protect the underwater cultural heritage and we preserve them. So, in other words, I suggest and emphasize to all of you that we should take care, we should explore, we should preserve the underwater cultural heritage of our country, both maritime trade and shipwrecks, for the posterity. To sum up my lecture, see, since beginning of maritime archaeological studies in India, we have explored number of shipwrecks both east and west coast, and our earliest shipwreck so far we have explored in Goa waters, that is the Sunchi Reef, and which is datable to early 17th century, and marine records are housed in different archives of India, both India and abroad. We can study them, we can get more information of the shipwrecks of India, and we can get why and how the ships have wrecked and where the ships have wrecked. Sometimes in the archival records they give some information about the location, okay? And we have collected information of more than 200 shipwrecks, which we have located a few, for instance the Konark shipwreck, and some are abated to explore and excavate, and the exploration of these shipwreck would help us to understand the causes of wreck, the state of the cargo, the hull remains, would help us to reconstruct the maritime history of India, maritime contexts of India, as well as the shipwreck of India. I hope my lecture would be useful, and thank you very much.